Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I've got two more of these to do. Let's get this started, shall we? This is, of course, my explanation of the ratings for Sky the Third. These have been going live at my usual VOD times for the past few days because, I've been ridiculously behind on these. So, we are going to get this started. As I spill my drink because I wasn't paying close enough attention. Because I am SMRT smart. Art, and my timing apparently sucks too. Well. Anyways. Sky the Third. I have described this as filler for a good long while. But good filler, as I honestly feel you should experience this story at least once. It is something I highly recommend you perceive at some point. So, yeah. And we will, of course, go through this in general, as I honestly find this to be a very engaging storyline. Okay, I don't know why the game over music suddenly decided to pop up, because I don't think it's that bad. This would be more music to play if I was talking about Zero, but that's beside the point. But this is a game that is not exactly easy. I'll go ahead and I'll be honest about that. Regardless, yes, this is of course the one where Kevin Graham, the priest of the Septium Church, and member of the Grossritter, is our main protagonist. And one thing I will say before I get started, I like that this game remembers that Kevin is the main character for this one. And above all else, above everything else that I say, that's the takeaway I want you to understand. So, let's get started. As ever, let us begin with the story positives. 16 sections, only cheat being turbo mode if you count that. Anyways, first and foremost, humor. This is the first triple positive for humor in the entire series, as I honestly find this game is just makes me laugh all over the place, and it has a lot of good comedy. That is something that has been consistently getting better throughout the entire series, and the comedy is just going to continue to be gold for a good chunk of time. It'll have, I want to say, like one stumbling block, and even then that might not actually be a stumbling block. We will see. As ever, at the time I'm recording this, I'm actually in the middle of streaming Trails to Azure, which is funny because I'm deep into Chapter 4 of Trails to Azure, but I'm not going to cover that in too much depth. Devil May Cry effect is here and is well utilized. 2 sprite work positives, as it is good doodad usage for as limited as it is. Good visual storytelling, good animations, good music direction, which is not something that the series gets right all the time. Good external continuity, as a lot of the main and side plots are built upon the events of Sky 1 and 2. Good world building. Yes, even in this weird-ass story, there is some decent world building on display. Specifically in regards to the church and how their acquisition of artifacts is handled. handled specifically. Good use of the themes of connecting with people and the guilt we carry for our wrongs. Good story pacing, good dialogue, good localization. There is some great foreshadowing on display here. Good flavor dialogue for bringing specific characters to specific scenes. This is all basic stuff, right? This is all just how the game is presenting its story to us. And I actually really, really like that. Right? Because by this point, that's something the Trails series continues to accelerate at, is presenting its story well. It just doesn't always have the best stories to tell, is the way I want to phrase that. Tita, who is the first character you recruit. I don't know why I jotted her down first before Kevin and Reese, as I really should have figured Kevin and Reese would be positives, but here we are. Tita is a full 3 positives because Tita is adorable. She is love. She is life. Don't at me on this one. Kevin. I admit I actually find Kevin to be very intriguing as a main character. He and then now he's even got an arc, and honestly I think it's good stuff. He's even great during the few times that he's there in specific doors too, like for example when he kind of pokes his head in and says hey, for example in Chloe and Joshua's door, for example, and a few other doors as well. So it's good stuff. Reese. I actually kind of like Reese because, yeah, she comes across as cold to Kevin, but I feel like the reason isn't just ego, and it isn't so much a sticking her nose up at him and being like, you're beneath me and I'm superior. No, it's more like, you spurred me, so I'm gonna spur you. You want to treat me like I don't exist? Okay, I'll treat you like you don't exist, asshole. Which sounds awful, but keep in mind, if I'm remembering correctly, it was like 5 years of no contact with her before she became his squire, and yeah, that's not a good move, Kevin. Just saying. I do think Erica Russell is Tita's mom. Erica Russell is worthy of a plus, even if she does annoy the piss out of me. She is a good character, and even her parenting is being uneven as it is. I actually kind of find her to be an engaging character. Also, poor Agate. Oh, Agate. Dan Russell. Tita's dad. What song am I hearing right now? Dang it. Hang on. So, Tita's dad. Honestly, I like that he's the voice of reason between Tita's parents, and I find he's great in his own right. Though I do think he bows to Erica's whims just a little too much. Not to the point where he feels like a simp, but I do think he should have protested a bit more often, if that makes any sense. Again, it's not enough for him to be a simp, because he does actually be like, honey, let's actually back off a little bit on this one. And on a couple of occasions, right? Like when she goes way over the top, which is good. Tita's parents, honestly, I like them in general. And honestly, I do actually find her parents to be good characters, right? Speaking of which, Here's an example of Erica earning her plus. Erica's initial refusal to let Tita help develop the orbital gear makes perfect sense to me. And it's way more than just ego or it's too dangerous or any of that nonsense, right? All the shit I gave, all of that reasoning that I gave 17 kinds of shit to Agate over in Sky 1, right? Because Agate's point was, it's dangerous, I'm awesome, fuck you, you're pathetic, Headache, sit this one out. Erica's reason for not wanting Tita in on helping to develop the orbital weapon is the fact that they're developing a weapon. And Tita needs to understand that. She needs to be aware that this is something that once they develop it and people start learning how to build their own, it will be used as a tool of war to kill people. And that is something that Tita needs to understand, and wholeheartedly. Which leads us into positive number 28. Tita discussing with her dad her reasons for wanting to develop the orbital gear in order to confront Ren, and it's great at showing just how serious Tita is actually taking this. Which is to say, completely. Tita knows that she's helping to develop a weapon. She understands what this means. She has considered it, she has weighed the positives and the negatives, and she has decided she still wants in. That's awesome. And that's actually what convinces her parents to be like, okay, we'll let you help develop it. Which, I know I did this all in Chapter 1, but... yeah. Which, by the way, I chop off the intro, main story-wise, at the end of Chapter 1. It works in setting up the Land of Phantasma, the pace, the doors, and the way new party members will be introduced. It also sets up Reese and her dynamic in the history with Kevin, as well as hinting at their backstory, which is at the center of this plot, which is all good stuff. A lot of these are doors, by the way. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it because a lot of the content, the meat of the content here, is the side stories that you get from going into these doors, from opening these doors. By the way, I named these doors basically based upon what characters are required to enter it. So, Julia and Mueller's door was 2 positives. I honestly find it to be great, and it really dives into both of their characters. I love the humor. The humor during it is one thing, but showing Julia and Mueller have things in common helps show Julia that she has worth. And I actually kind of like this side story as a character piece for Julia and Mueller both. And that's why I gave it 2 positives. And yes, for the record, much like Olivier, I ship it. I ship it like FedEx. Sorry for borrowing that joke from the quarter guy. Anyways. So Joshua shows back up and continues to be awesome. Wait, I didn't put... Did I duplicate Joshua's positive? Hang on. Looking at this for a second. Okay. I guess I did. Alright, so yeah, I love Joshua. He remains observant and awesome. I didn't really give Chloe her own positive, but that's just because a lot of the characters are just kind of there, and there's nothing to really demonstrate their awesomeness. They have good moments, but really a lot of those, I just didn't feel like their character in general, for the main story, fit all that well. Which is honestly what I considered for the character positives. You know? Speaking of, Joshua and Chloe's door. I like their character interactions, and I feel it is just a nice, lighthearted, and fun little side story. With special praise to Chloe finally confessing her feelings to Joshua, too. That was a nice scene. And it shows how much Chloe has grown throughout the Sky Trilogy. Zin's Star Door is awesome, and it's a nice way of showing Zin and Kilika's friendship, and how close they really are. And yeah, I'll admit it, another pairing that I ship. Absolutely. Olivier continues to be as awesome as ever, and he earned himself 2 positives, because he just continued to be, you know, his insights just continued to be kind of awesome. Now, Annalise's door actually gained a couple of positives. Oh, no, I gave character pluses, I just gave them in weird order, so my apologies. So, the discussion between Annalise and Lugron during her door is great, and it continues the Trail series world-building strength, as well as giving us a brief peek into Annalise's ideals as a bracer. Combined with with her meeting with Cassius and facing Richard, as honestly I kind of like that it gives Annalise a chance to re-examine her ways as a bracer and reinforces her resolve. It's great. Which also leads to a plus for Richard, who continues to be an awesome character. Then I corrected my mistake and gave Chloe a positive because I realized I had done that, and I am an idiot. Because I am an idiot. Speaking of Chloe, her solo door gained 2 positives, as it's a great exploration of her backstory and shows that her journey was not an easy one. It also sets up Lecter as well, which is really good. You know what? We'll do the... No, let's not. This is good enough. There. Actually, you know what? We'll just restart it. Because now we gotta talk about the Shara scene. Specifically, her inner monologue during her door. It's beautifully dark. It hits hard and does not shy away from explaining exactly why Shara cannot allow herself to stop being a bracer. It is powerful. It is wonderful. I had to give that scene a triple positive. Because, see, here's the thing. Shara goes through this entire thing during her backstory of kind of thinking about why she wants to be a bracer and all that. And it's just reinforced for her why she cannot allow herself to stop being a bracer, because then she would return to her old life. The life that had her lying in a pool of her own blood. Well, not lying in a pool of her own blood, but like on the ground, bleeding. Yeah. Triple positive there. So, who's ready for Agate to be shown some more love? And so, who's ready for Agate to be shown some more love here? Because Agate's pep talk after the Orbital Gears rampage is awesome, and it just continues to show the awesome friendship he has with Tita. I don't ship. By the way, this is one ship I don't sail because no, you know, just. But I do like their friendship, and I do like the pep talk. It is worth 2 positives. Then there's a triple positive. Tita is responsible for yet another triple positive. This is the wrong song for this. Hang on. No. Maybe not. Come on, give me a good song. This'll do. Tita's outburst at Ren when she is released from her sealing stone is just poetry for me. Tita, literally, in the span of a few minutes, not only sees through Ren's lies, but manages to call her out on it at the exact same time. That scene hits me every time I see it. And this is actually one of the reasons why I will be giving Trails from Zero so much shit. Because, yeah, this is why, right here. Tita just proves why I love her so much, as she gets to the heart of the matter just instantaneously, right? Just instantly. I freaking love it. When Trail's writing is on point, it is on fucking point. Holy shit. The Door, featuring the Ravens as playable characters, is awesome as a way to show character development for them, and it's also a nice touch that they want. It's also kind of a funny and awesome touch that they wanted Erna to basically train them and beat the shit out of them / train them, but they got Agate instead. There's just an irony to that I enjoy. Whoo, boy! Who's ready for 3 more related positives? Shout it away. Because Chancellor Osborn is established in Olivier and Mueller's Door, and has done so very well, even if you don't realize it yet. While I can't count it as Babylon 5 effect due to the hindsight coming from the Cold Steels, he is still well characterized here, and we get the impression, even just from his few short scenes here in Sky 3, just how much he has his Olivier on the back foot. Great stuff. When Olivier says as he has chosen quite the monster to battle, he's not joking. Politically speaking, of course. Then there's Olivier's send-off with him shooting the roses to send a message. Oh, I love that scene. It works to show Olivier's character and that he will never back down from a challenge. It even manages to get a laugh out of Osborn when he's just like, because the airliner pilot that Osborn is on is even like Prince Olivert wants to deliver a spectacle and a message. The rose petals, and Osborn just can't help but laugh because he knows what he's saying. Ain't what Olivier's saying with that gesture? He's saying, I ain't He's saying, I ain't about to back down. No, let's do this. And Osborn's response to that is basically, ho ho ho! Bring it on, dear prince. Bring it on. Now, despite the steep cost, which I believe is 50,000 Mira, good fucking lord, I do like the Maybell door. The Maybell door is the one where she gets Annalise to look into what the heck Lila's been up to, as she has been seeing a man lately. Well, it turns out it was to set up a vacation. Maybell gets the wrong idea here and thinks that Lila is, getting married. Yeah, no. No, it was to set up a vacation for Maybell. It might be a giant misunderstanding, but I love how it just flows naturally as a result of Maybell's character and desire to see Lila happy. And that's why I love it so much. Is the misunderstanding thing a cliche? Oh, hell yeah. It is one of the biggest cliches ever. But I still love it because I, too, want to see Lila happy, Triple positive for that. The Blue Blanc door, the report on him, the big long report on him, that's good. That intrigues me and just adds mystique to him, and I love it. The Patermater door, where we learn about, where we kind of view how Patermater was constructed and the tests that were run on it. That's good stuff. Richard's door, great at showing the complexity of him departing the military. I like it. Despite the fact that I hate that he came back as a masked individual, because it just reminds me of an even worse execution of this from later in the series. I didn't like it to begin with, admittedly, but all that much to begin with, admittedly, but shrug. But the reveal of Schwarzritter as Lowe, despite the problems I have with it, is a fantastic scene when he's finally dispatched, and it's a good send-off for the character. This I'm more okay with if you're going to give them effectively an extra send-off in a game where that's full of sending characters off, giving characters more of a send-off. I'm okay with it. Two positives there. Moondor 5. This is the one with the Happiness Stone. With the orphans from the is it Bose or no, Ruan? From Ruan. It's honestly cool. Cool. Mary's experience, dreamt or not, is touching, and while it is heavily implied she dreamt the whole thing, it is plausible enough that it could have been real. They don't outright say it, but with Ragnar in Sky 2 being a thing in Sky 2, it basically just presents a scenario to you and lets you decide. Did Mary really meet a young dragon? Or was it all just a dream? You make the call. Sorry, give me a sec here. The reveal that Kevin killed Rufina with his stigma. Oh boy. This scene. This scene reveals what the whole plot has been about. Kevin's guilt. He feels responsible for all that happened to Rufina and his mother. And he wants to receive what he feels are his just desserts. It's awesome. And the scene where Kevin and Reese fall into Gehenna is awesome. Because Kevin is allowed to make a huge mistake in thinking he deserves death. Because no one agrees with that. The only person who's really thinks that Kevin deserves to rot in Gehenna is Kevin himself. It's wonderful. Wonderful, in my opinion. Which leads into Chapter 7, which has some really good gameplay story integration, particularly with Kevin's victory quotes, specifically in the way the voice actor delivers them. All the more reason to not cut Zero and Azure slack for not delivering us actual English-voiced lines. Even if you just silenced the rest of the game and just made the battle quotes to be what the character said, like the Sky Trilogy, we would have been okay with it. Because you can still do good things with that, just ask Sky 3. The confrontation with Weissman at the end of Gehenna, and it really shows the progress Kevin has made through his character arc. And I love the fact that Weissman puts the whole, pulls the whole join the dark side, we have cookies thing. But Kevin basically says, fuck this song. But Kevin just says, nah, I'm good. I have cake. Well, metaphorically speaking, anyway. That is basically what he says, right? And no, Reese is not the cake. Hey, if you're wondering. Unless she wants to be. That's her decision, Depending on how that goes. Anyways, I'm getting way off topic. Epic. The reveal of Kevin's stigma being what has caused all of this, or at least a copy of it, is honestly my favorite story point in the whole game, as it makes perfect sense. Stardor 14, which is of course the big foreshadowing moment of the Phantasmal Blaze Plan one, is actually great at setting up future events, which is funny because in hindsight it actually was partially setting up the Crossbell arc, but I still say the Phantasmal Blaze Plan has a bit more to do with the Cold Steels rather than with Azure specifically. Just my opinion. The reveal of Anima, that is to say Kevin's stigma, the big reveal of Anima is great. To just how far Kevin has come in his character arc. Then there's Rufina's farewell. It's a beautiful scene, and is great at showing the resolve of both Kevin and Reese. it is so poetic that they finally can put that tragedy behind them. Which also leads into the farewells with all the party members. Ah, I like this. I like this outro. Oh, too. It's it is beautiful, and it's actually kind of hitting me a little bit, even after all this. I might actually go back and rewatch my Sky 3 video after this. My Wolsten on Sky 3. I love this story. If I have not made this crystal clear by now, I adore this story. I do. Because it's one of those things where the story is interesting in terms of just being poetic and wonderful and beautiful. They claim there's some, this could potentially leak out into the real world and threaten Laborel, and that part I feel is just unnecessary. Because I like how personal this story is for Kevin. And I honestly like that. It's Kevin's personal story about forgiving himself, of letting go of the sins he feels he's so guilty of. So, let's move on to the negatives, shall we? Make sure I'm still recording. Yep. Okay, so the opening. I don't much care for it. I honestly feel like it's just. I was originally going to give it a wash, but I feel it lies. I mean, it makes Campanella and Osborn seem like it'll be a major story role, but those are side stories. And of course, then there's all the spoilers of the characters that are in here, and it's done worse than in the other Sky games because, in those they were not hinted to be party members, unlike here. It was just you had to know in hindsight. Ren and Richard appearing by the cube, that kind of thing. As well as some of the group shots. Yeah, it's pretty blatant. Then there's Kevin, Then there's Gilbert, who's the theme you've been hearing here. And honestly, I find him worse than in Sky 1 and 2. I just can't stand him. He ended up being a triple negative because I just stopped caring about him. I don't like the masked man trope of him being super guessable. It's just not as bad as in Cold Steel 3, so I'm giving it I'm giving it just a 1. There's some examples of cutscene incompetence, kind of like in Shara's Door. I am restarting the song because this is good to fit these negatives. Actually, there is one song for this next one. Okay, let's see. Where is that? It's song. Sorry, hang on. There we go. Then there's Estelle's Door. Legendary Angler Estelle. From a story perspective, it's just a colossal waste of time. No insight into her character, other than the whole can't leave someone in need, which was established when she became a party member. And then there's the fact that it doesn't build her character at all. It's just a goofy little side story involving her. Not the greatest use of the character. Josette ended up being 2 negatives, as she continued to have pointless as fuck dialogue, and every time she opened her mouth, I was just basically saying, shut up already, Josette. I mean, hell, I even mentioned it in my notes for my Woolston proper video, for God's sakes. That's how annoying she ended up being, even on my first playthrough. Then there's Gilbert defying all logic. Logic and cohesive storytelling by not only being in Gehenna to begin with, but also leading a pack of devils right to Kevin and Reese, just so that we could have the cavalry arrive. It's weak. It's really damn weak. And honestly, it wouldn't even be on my radar as something to be that egregious. It would just be like, oh, come on. And I'd move on, except the fact that this came right after the Weissman. That came right after the Weissman scene. Like, really? Speaking of the cavalry moment, I hate the cavalry moment. It is tepid and pathetic. It would have been nice if it had been playable, but whatever, I suppose. Some more audio balancing issues during the CG cutscenes. Ow, my ears. There are some empty text issues. Not really rampant, but there is some minor fake drama as well, and it kind of is stupid. You know. You know. Let's get a happier song. Alright. So, as you've been hearing, music in this game is good. Honestly, I don't think the game's music is all that good, as there aren't too many songs I would listen to on their own. Although I am really starting to reevaluate that, so you know what? Fuck it. During the editing... Come on. No. 0 after. And there. I don't know why the layout is so bad, but it is. Second, music positive. So the final score is going to be actually boosted. Oh, I didn't mention the final story score. It was plus 64. We didn't add any new ones, so that score is standing. Alright, so New Game Plus is here, and it's good. Good options in the configuration menu, just like all the Sky Trilogy's PC ports. Hermit's Garden is a good save system. Hermit's Garden is a great hub area, once again. And shop, quartz, earths and slot upgrades, aids, and a spring that restores CP. Good, it's good stuff. Enough. Cooking is back, just as useful as it always is. The retry offset option is back yet again. fast travel. The fast travel is here, and it is very useful as you get it pretty early on, and it it lets you basically instantaneously warp wherever you want at the press of a button. Tita is back and is a good utility character. I still love satellite cannon, and the S-brake system is still a plus. Good variety of the quartz, which is the kit positive. Good difference in the party member combat styles, which I may actually have to artificially add to 0, honestly. I mean, crawl up a little bit higher, I love Kevin's spears of Loa and Ur. As they have insane range. Reese's Heavenly Strike is honestly, I really like Aikid's look and all that. There's decent info in the game. The quest log is also decent. There's some good visual distinction and ancient. I do find this game not only encourages exploration, but rewards it, so that's good. Good itemization. Get the chests, the red ones especially. They are mega worth it. Good combat animations, good core combat, and decent combat interface. The intro is good from a gameplay perspective, as it sets up the flow of the game really well, in my opinion. The hub that is Hermit's Garden, getting new party members, and the doors. Good stuff. I like Julia versus Mueller during their door. I actually find it is a challenge without being super cheap, even if Mueller likes to cancel your arts a lot. There's good enemy variety. I like the fight with Darkbringer in the Grand Arena. It's one of those challenging but fair fights, and this game has so many cheap as fuck enemies that honestly I'll take what I can get. Good power progression curve, full heal on level up for its usual reasons. Annalise versus Richard, same idea as the Julia versus Mueller fight. Agate versus the Orbital Gear. Those fights are awesome. Tita's being able to equip herself with the Orbital Gear in combat after you complete that door, Agate's portion of their door. It turns her from a glass cannon into a walking battle tank. Fuck the hell yes. Triple positive for that. The Gambler Jack door is interesting. It's a bit too RNG heavy for my tastes. Still, it's based around gambling, so what did I expect? Star Wars 6, which has you play as the Ravens, was a triple gameplay positive because, yes, I actually kind of liked it as it was kind of different. The difficulty felt constructed. The enemy's HP is lower and manageable, and their moves, which annoy the piss out of me in gameplay, are easy enough to use and help you through their door, which is good. I liked the fight between the Ravens and Agate. I thought that was well handled. It requires strategy, and the Ravens' crafts are needed more than ever for that fight. I like the Coliseum door, though if you're under level, it is cheap. Though, do a chapter with Zin in the party and it becomes cake. First round, anyway. The fight with Philip feels is fair and challenging. Again, for this game, that's rare. The fight with Kilika is another tough but fair fight, even though her ads have way too much HP. The rewards, or blessings as the game calls them, of them from the doors, are a nice gameplay incentive to go through them. Then there's the fight with Cassius. It's bullshit, make no mistake, but it does feel like you can strategize around him, and there is an option to lower the difficulty. That being said, it doesn't change the fact that negative number 60, yes, this game got that many gameplay negatives, will be ranting about this fight. Ren using Patermater as an S-Craft is awesome and does a lot of damage while having a damn good range. Campanella's door, which is his quiz show thing, is actually kind of fun. I actually kind of like it as a decent distraction action from the rest of the game and puts your knowledge of the Sky Trilogy to the test. Kevin's victory quotes come into play once again from Chapter 7. I like the fight with Weissman and the two gatekeepers, Keepers in Gehenna. I actually kind of like it. And I find it's awesome compared to when you fight the Keepers individually, which are the two extra things he has during that battle, which I'll be mentioning in the negatives. The battle feels fair, and right before it, Kevin gains an S-Craft that is effective against the two Keepers. Also, Weissman plays just as fair as he did in his human form in Sky 2. So, good fight, positive. It's also a great Hyper Beam moment. Then there's the optional dungeon in Abyss. The optional dungeon Abyss, it's actually pretty good. It lets you use the scaling X to get your other characters caught up in levels, and does so rather quickly. Would be faster if the X cap wasn't 999, but I'm not about to bitch about that. If the quad 9 barrier wasn't there, in other words, is what I mean there. It also has every single boss in it be optional. So if all you give a shit about is Ren's door, you just go around the bosses and be like, "Bye, I'm moving. I've got a door to go to." Good stuff. And then there's R Tycoon, as I honestly feel he's another boss fight. He's an awesome boss fight that feels fair, and he was worth 2 pluses. And honestly, also, by the way, his move that can actually can push you around, it doesn't work when Tita's in Orbital Gear. So Tita ain't moving if she's in Orbital Gear. Alright, so moving on to the gameplay negatives, which I have to decrease the negative number to. Let's start with Knockback. Knockback is a full 3 negatives. Let's get a less happy song going here. Knockback, heck, is irritating because it constantly pushes you around. Which actually I ran into that problem in negative 7. With negative 7, but we'll get there. It becomes so bad throughout the entire game that, yeah, I gave it a full 3 negatives. I still don't like the lack of mini-map into the dungeons. I feel there is some bad viscerality as I feel like a goddamn pissant in this game. And there's some really bad railroading. Tita versus the 3 Moon Guardians is a bullcrap boss fight, especially when they use their move down debuff on Tita constantly. They love to spam it too, which is just... ugh. Yeah. The boss, Bennu, can fuck right off. He has 3 forms, 4 adds, and has way too much HP in all 3 of his forms. Ugh. Separate health bars, by the way. This is the first boss, and that's why I got 2 negatives. The on-field enemies are as obnoxious as they were in Sky 1. In Sky 2, there was a large amount of them that you could easily get past, but it's just way too irritating here. So, Sky 2 basically managed to eke by with that, you know? And it was enough to earn a triple negative here. I gave 3 negatives to the difficulty curve, as I feel like the game ramps up the difficulty way too much, and with incredibly stupid ideas. I don't like the gameplay, and game's pacing, I feel it is padded to hell. 2 negatives for Josette's Door, as I honestly feel that I find the hit detection feels off, and the difficulty on normal feels a little harsh, and Gilbert's audio spam is just obnoxious. In fact, it was the Gilbert fight that actually warranted the 2 negatives. So this is a first for me. Triple enemy design negative, because I feel like the design of the enemies feels more like the game is bullying you, and I don't like that. Which is also why the encounter design was also a triple negative. And the boss design, which can be summed up with the next triple negative, which was the status effect fetish. Oof. Trash mobs also have way too much HP in my opinion, and that's annoying. Also, I hate the trash mobs that cancel your arts. They are rampant in this game. Rostrum is cheap as hell and has infinitely spawning ads. Another boss fight that I just want to go away. The accuracy and evasion problems I miss way too goddamn often in this game, and that's why I got a triple negative. Then there's the doppelganger fights, which just suck. Honestly, none of them were exceeded 1 negative, but all 3 of them really did warrant a negative. Especially Agates, because his ads could power up and deal over 10k. Yeah, not fun. A start is yet another badly designed fight, in my opinion. Massive damage output combined with his ads being able to cause Vanish, which is just... they can cause Vanish just cuz. Oh, also his ads regenerate. Hate. Also, I really don't like his ability to teleport and just be out of range instantly. Ugh. Also, triple negative for boss health. This is an example of bosses having too much HP lore, not Legend of Dragoon. Not by a long shot, good lord. Ugh. The prices of weapons and armor is just awful, as it really starts to get way too expensive to outfit even your chosen party. As I honestly feel your only real source of income are the doors, which is a very finite resource. Now, admittedly, yes, you can grind out Septif, but that just adds to the grind problem, you know? Fishing is still the worst activity in the trilogy. I gave it a triple negative. Negative. It's required for 100%, and that usually gets my ire. And then I also gave Legendary Angler Estelle by itself a triple negative. RNG heavy like mad, and the opponents can have rubber band difficulty. It is also inconsistent, as sometimes they will have the rubber band difficulty and sometimes they won't. Sometimes you will curb stomp them, other times they will catch up and exceed you too well. I also gave the duel with Norsh, in particular, shit, because it really does irritate me when she pulls a win out of her goddamn ass. It is, okay? She either pulls bullshit, or you freaking curb stomp her, and it's so dumb. And then there's the Fishing Baron, which ends up being even worse, as it feels even more finicky during his section than anywhere else. I was getting so angry at this point that the final point in this final triple negative for fishing, which there was 3 by the way, he says it all. Fuck this door, fuck these duels, and especially fuck fishing in the Sky Trilogy. Yeah. The Star Guardian and the Pack of Misfits is an awful fight. All the mischiefs can cause Petrify, and there's way too many of them. Triple negative. I literally had to buy items that specifically guarded against Petrify to be able to beat that fight. That's bullshit. I hate the Arachne Sisters. Satisfacts out the ass, which, yeah, that becomes a pattern for this in the next 2 games, unfortunately. It really... This is the fight that just angered me to the point where I just stopped caring. Stopped pulling... I say I don't pull my punches. Well... I basically got to the point where I was like, it felt like I was pulling my punches, so I put an end to that. It's the epitome of everything I've been was complaining about all game. Status effects out the ass, especially Petrify, way too much HP, and the difficulty spiking that just does not give a flying fuck. This boss fight honestly did piss me off so bad that the boss HP, difficulty curve negative, the boss HP and difficulty curve negatives were upped to 3 just because of this fight. They were originally just going to be double negatives, but then they got bumped up to triple negatives because I was so angry. If my caps locking at the end and didn't already give that away. Backtracking is obnoxious. The backtracking specifically in Chapter 6 is annoying if you don't know which characters are required for progression. This is the first time a triple negative has been issued for a specific mechanic, namely the turn bonuses, as in this game it just feels awful. Most of the time the enemies it feels like the enemies are getting the good ones like critical and death, while you get the awful ones like item and guard. Guard is especially bad because it literally makes it so that you do 0 damage and really shouldn't be a turn bonus at all. It's backwards, and I have no choice but to give it a full 3 negatives. negatives. It is the worst implementation of the mechanic in the entire series. IMO. Fighting the Ravens is just as irritating. It is irritating, just like playing as them was awesome. Ugh. Walkthrough-itis is rampant throughout Chapter 6. The doors can be considered to contribute to this problem, though they are nowhere near as awful about it. Loot drops are also obnoxious, as it's done in MMO terms. And that's not fun. Not really. I hate the fight with Hid. I find it's a garbage fight. He has way too many ads. They all cause status effects rapidly and repeatedly. This game really doesn't get boss fights right at all, in my opinion. Also, I was wrong. It was actually 59, but whatever. So yeah, that was annoying. I hated fighting General Morgan and his fate fetish, and I honestly felt his HP was way too high at 68k. I hate fighting Cassius. As I feel he's a cheap bastard on normal difficulty. Yeah. I hate fighting the Ouroboros Trinity. That was two negatives. Because all of the annoyances from them in Sky 2 are mixed with the game's status effect fetish and Luciola constantly healing, and it just really feels unfair. There's the negative for Grind. And the Steam port still has lag issues. Anima Mundi, which is the final battle. I don't like it. Here, let's make the boss invincible to everything until you get rid of his pillars. Said pillars have a stupidly strong laser attack, and Phase 2 has ads that cause Vanish. I was so angry that apparently I couldn't spell fuck correctly. Yeah. And then there's the outro, which has issues out the ass, gameplay-wise. The concept of the final dungeon is neat, but the problem is that it still relies way too much on the status effect fetish for its difficulty, and it's obnoxious. And with that, the final gameplay score with that added music plus is negative 24. Yeah, I'm not too fond of the gameplay in this one. But that being said, I still love this story. It's not the highest story score the entire Trail series is ever going to get, but 64 is not a bad final story score. It's just unfortunate that the gameplay has to drag this one down so damn much. Let's find the right song for this. There's one song in particular I want to end on. Damn it! Not that one. There it is. And that's it. I highly recommend Sky the Third, especially if you've played Sky 1 and 2. This is a great cap-off. Some people claim that it is necessary. I don't think it's necessary. I don't. But I do think you would be doing yourself a disservice if you played Sky 1 and 2 and didn't bother with Sky 3. I think you would be doing yourself a great disservice doing that. So I don't recommend doing that. I recommend playing this game. It's going to be a slog. You're going to be using the retry offset all the time. but it absolutely is 100%, in my opinion, worth your time. I recommend it highly, and I honestly hope that you have enjoyed my thoughts. I will see you next time. For a review, I will be for a rating where I will not be singing the praises of the game in question anywhere near as well. As next up is Trails to Zero. Trails from Zero, excuse me. Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. Later.